Fondation Jean-Jaurès.
Penser pour agir.
Dear Zach, I'm very pleased and very honored to welcome you here in the Fondation Jean-Jaurès at the invitation of Cartoonist for Peace. So I understand that you are going to stay a few days in Europe and you will be going to the Netherlands soon to address a vast public on different items. I would like to say that we are impressed here. First of all, I'm going to say who I am. Well, my name is Thierry Aube. I am the director of the Observatory of the Asia-Pacific at Fondation Jean-Jaurès. Oh. Okay. So I would like to ask you to present yourself as a cartoonist, as a representative of your country, of the political fights that you are pursuing in your country, and then once the conversation has started, then we can, I'm sure you will have a lot of things to say. Okay, please. Mm-mm. Okay, so. All right. Okay, so you are a cartoonist, a political cartoonist. Okay. So when did you have the idea and to go into this activity, and why triggered you to do this, and what are the learnings that we can draw from your activity over the last few years in this field? Okay.
Yeah, so I think I started making political cartoons since I was 12, It's more of a visual than a writer, but I was chosen by my teacher, to be a writer at first, but when I went to high school, decided to switch to making political cartoons, because back in my country, our Department of Education in the government is like equivalent of Minister of Education here. Like they hold contests, in different journalism categories, which includes editorial cartoons, and then it became, I won many awards in our local and regional, I went to national level. So it's more of like, making cartoons more like, just hobby, it's a way to represent my school, to many competitions. But I think what really triggered me is like, there's like a disparity between, what we draw in a contest, like when you're given a topic, a certain topic, example, like corruption in the Philippines is rampant, by the way. Mm-hmm. And in the wealth inequality, so we tend to draw, we are very brave in what we draw, and then, the imagination, has no limit. But you can see that what really triggered me is like, it's so hard to join in mainstream cartoons. It's becoming the cartoons more watered down. Like there we can see that the politicians and the meaning is like watered down, because like I can sense that there's like censorship in that part. So I think that made me motivated to continue my passion in college, when I joined our student publication in our university. The leaning of that publication is it's progressive, it's more of like, so that's how my political upbringing, became more and more progressive, and I can, based on what I learned, based on the experience, I came from not a well-to-do family, and I realized that we experience many hardships, and my mother would say that, if we try to be, if we want to be rich, if you want to upgrade your your state in your life, you need to work hard. But I do realize though that it's actually the government, that's like, you see it in the Philippines, it's more incompetence in the government. If the government doesn't do something, it doesn't do anything. So that's why my it's like takeaways, like in my cartoons is now more on the increasing wealth inequality between the rich and the poor. Like it's like more on, like there are many social ills. It's my cartoons focus is more on the human rights lens. It's more on amplifying, the issues, circulating the marginalized. Because, I live in a city, and behind those, because I live in Cebu, which is, it's like being marketed as a, tourism in the Philippines, like you can see the nice buildings, the bridges, the festival. But behind those,
behind all this,
you have those many problems, there are a lot of informal settlers in my area. That's why, I drew once about, the vendors being moved away, being, just to make a park, it's really ridiculous, That's why my cartoons really focus on those. But after I graduated in college, before I took my master's in physics, decided to up my to switch, to go to going international. That's why by my friend, a cartoonist also, his name is Political Idiot. He invited me to join, the cartoon movement in the Netherlands. I became a member. At first, I didn't get accepted, but I accepted, and then eventually, I get accepted to Cartooning for Peace, which is very, it's very, very surprising because I was a young cartoonist. I was around 23 years old. When I get accepted, and I still don't have these print cartoons because in the Philippines, the opportunities for the cartoonists, to publish in newspapers is dwindling. But if you become a cartoonist, you get paid less. But it's so sad that now there's no cartoons in two of the major national publications. That's why that really pushed me to publish aside from drawing cartoons in international. It also led me to publish, cartoons in my social media.
Yeah, the Philippine Inquirer and the other one in last year. I mean, just got rid of all political cartooning.
Yeah, that's the Philippine stuff.
Okay, but then how did you address, I mean, this fact that the main newspapers just wiped out all reference to this, and how, to what extent you have been able to replace these by using as much as you can the social networks.
Oh, okay.
You were born at the right to the social networks. I think I coach you not in a very exact way, but you were born at the right time to the social networks.
Yeah.
So talk about this, because at the same time, it's quite clear that we have to use the social networks without, while still trying not to be used by them. And you know about that very well.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do with the social networks?
First of all, I'd like to say that the Philippines is the social media capital of the world. The Filipinos have this, access to social media very easily, even though you are not wealthy. Like just to give you a context, that Facebook is free access, even though you don't have load, you don't have electronic load, you can still access to Facebook. So that really eased the access. I think in the last few years, I think more or less more than half of the Filipinos or people living in the Philippines has Facebook. Yeah, you're right. I was born on a wrong time back, but now that print publications are decreasing, I think it's more on because there's a decreased readership in the newspaper. So like back then, newspapers tends to have 50 or 60 pages, in national, they tend to have huge, huge, but now it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So it's so sad that the first to go are the political cartoons in the Philippines. And, according to, I have colleagues who have worked in the newspapers before. They have experienced, censorship and control from their editors. Although the editors in these newspapers, they just let their cartoonists draw. Sometimes it's not based on the main editorial. So what happens, like, they tend to, like reject, don't show the face of this president. Don't show the face of this politician. Because that these newspapers are not independent. They are from the business owners who has political interest. They don't want to piss off their clients, or piss off the politicians, and it gets watered down until the original meaning get lost. And then I talked to one cartoonist. He or she said that he just removed the signature in it because he or she doesn't feel that that's her cartoon. So, being as a social media, savvy, because, I started to use Facebook when I was back in high school, elementary. So it's around 12 to 13 years old, So that's why when I joined in the social media, at first, I joined some youth-led media. This is what you call the assortage. So it's a assortage, came at a time when Duterte, became president, and the social media. I mean the disinformation. I think Facebook more or less helped him win. Through his trolls. Disinformation networks, and then I joined this media, just to to participate, we did media literacy seminars, we went to far-flung province, we taught, and then we contextualize the issues, by example, like if there's a complicated issue, we tend to do a primer compose, and that's how I started making political cartoons in that social media, the account, the assortage, and it has a huge following, and then eventually I think more or less the members of that publication of that media network, assortage, stopped publishing cartoons. I mean, became inactive. So I think I decided to make my own page, which is Cartoonist Zach. And back then, I was still finishing my college education. At first, the following was still very slow. I didn't aim actually to publish, like local issues. It's more like what I publish in Cartoon Movement and Cartooning for Peace. It's just it's like a repository just of my old works. I didn't plan to make it big. I didn't plan it to be like that until
but it did. I mean, your reputation did grow up.
Yeah, that's where the pandemic came. So everyone was locked in their house. So we have nothing else to do but to do something in the house, and that's how I got really inspired because of. Instead of medical interventions, on controlling the virus, like they did military, very very repressive, policies.
Yeah.
And that time, some of my colleagues get arrested because they tried to protest in front of university, and they arrested those activists because they violated the health protocols. I think that the government is like they're using
all kinds of pretexts.
Yeah. Just for the excuse of, like social distancing, just for the sake. And, like there are many series of bad decisions, the government has did. So that really inspired me to draw cartoons, about COVID and the government response on a daily basis. Because of that, it slowly, like the it resonated, with many people. And eventually I used my platform to address the disinformation, because many of the people think that the Duterte government is doing its great job in addressing the pandemic.
You could see very well that it did not do that.
Yeah. And I think my first breakaway cartoon that really made viral was the government insurance company. It was exposed by journalists that there was a loss of money. So there was a corruption inside that Philippine insurance. So when I drew, I think I drew about the Filipino, symbolized as like that, and then his blood, he was supposedly on dextrose, and that dextrose is the insurance, but it got cut out and sucked out by the crocodile, which is a symbol of corruption that really earned around, I think, 30,000 and reached around 1 million. So at first, I was happy because there's an increased increase in audience, and as time goes on, and then and fast today, it got around 120,000.
But there are also, the very negative things that happen in the social networks. The trolls that you mentioned, and the risk of being red tagged unduly, if I may say, and all these kind of things. And also, I know that Maria Ressa, for example, has a very bad image of Facebook. Okay, and Facebook served in Burma to strengthen, the racist attitude of many Burmese towards the Rohingya. So. It can be used, you can be made use of, and so how your position vis-a-vis the social network has evolved as you were encountering this kind of problems.
I think it's already given that that the social media is being used by politicians, trying to trying to make their image more good, try to be more pleasant to people. I think it's already given. But as what Maria Ressa, and actually it's true that there's really problem with the algorithm with the Facebook, because in the Philippine context, what's really happening is that in the algorithm of Facebook, it tends to create, echo chambers, like on this part, this pro democracy people, who criticize regularly the government, because it deserves to be, because it has a lot of controversies, inefficient governance, bad governance. But in the other hand, it also creates, from the camp, those who are with the president, who believe that the administration is doing fine. It really creates, a sense of, polarized, the Filipinos are becoming polarized, in their opinions. But it's not good, for the democracy, and that's really sad. And
the same happens everywhere in the world, in this country as well.
And when every time I post my cartoon, you would get a wide range of reactions, because you're a social commentator, so you deserve to receive feedback, because that's how the ecosystem of information works. Political cartoons have the ability to create a public discourse, and
sounding board.
I really don't mind if I get negative reactions from my cartoons, but the reactions are really more on doing ad hominem, red herring. So this is more like fallacies, logical fallacies that doesn't have to do anything with the cartoon. And sometimes it pisses me off, or it really makes me sad, because these are something like this. And But most of these are from manufactured comments, from the trolls. That their duty is to defend, the interests of the one that's paying them, which I think which is true, But I think the thing that made that was really memorable to me is I tried to criticize, the military.
Sorry, to
the military, because the government is trying to do a military-based, measures to doing lockdowns, checkpoints, and then I made them, look like overpaid military, and then the president was like overslept. And I think it pissed off a lot of uniformed personnel. So they tried to do something like, why you're doing this, like some of the soldiers or like told me, I'm a terrorist, like, why are you doing like this, like, oh. And then many messaged me like something like death threats. I don't know if it's a soldier or not, like, like tagging me as something that I'm not really a part of, like, it's like, and most of all, like, the death threats. I mean, I receive death threats sometimes, especially when the topic that I'm trying to draw is very, very sensitive, very, very controversial. It kind of hurts their, and as time goes on, because like it's more of like, like a frog, inside the boiling water, it's more of like that. So, it kind of, builds up, like, and then, and the social media is now becoming like, more of like a toxic place. I mean, not toxic because it's like the opinion dynamics, like with the echo chamber, with this also with how Facebook controls, moderates the post.
Oh, does not.
Yeah, that one. So I tried to create a cartoon about the extrajudicial killings, under the Duterte administration. But I drew it last year during the Marcos. I made a cartoon, about that, and then Facebook removed it because it was like inciting violence. So I was really sad, and then I complained publicly, but eventually it really came back, from
and there is this law. I forgot what the name of it is. I mean, that sets up a kind of very strict rules to block, to multiply hurdles for the kind of work that you do. I mean. Incitement, for example, the word incitement is not defined, so it can be used in all possible ways maliciously by the authorities. So how can you? What can you do about that? I mean, there is this. These very strict regulations, very that are meant to that we are meant to suppress criticism.
I think you're talking about the cyber libel or the anti-terror law.
Anti-terrorist law.
Yeah. For now, with the anti-terror law, so I think they have the power to designate certain people or certain groups as terrorists. As of now, it is being used to tag on the example the progressives, the activists who do rallies regularly, try to do like to help the peasants on the fields, away from the city. I think these are being used to them, and. But it's very dangerous, very dangerous because in the law, diba? In the law, in the constitution, in a democracy, the burden should be those who accuse that person. But the anti-terror law, the burden is on the being accused,
the accused one.
That's that's something that really violates the Constitution that we are supposedly having, because something like that, but today, as of now, we don't know what will happen in the future. That law is like targeting those who are from the far left, or for the example, the national democracy, that political spectrum, the part political spectrum, those who are activists, those who are very, it's still targeting until now.
Yeah.
But we don't know if it would be expanded, to those who are not that radicals, not that. But I think what I can say is that the movement of this coming from those who are less radical, they tend, now there's like, what you call this one? There's still lack of action. The movement to call to end the anti-terror law today is still lacking. What the progressives should do now is to do a united the opposition. That doesn't. I think the point is. It doesn't mean that it's not targeting you now. It doesn't mean you shouldn't act. It all boils down to solidarity. And even though you are not the person that's being attacked or being, everyone should act. Like the pro-democracy. Like whether you're an artist, you're a cartoonist, you're a journalist. Everyone should be more, should be more proactive. Because eventually, for me, in my opinion, that this anti-terror law will eventually affect all who basically dissent, But even without the anti-terror law, I think I've seen, or I've witnessed, or heard that activists are being intimidated, during the rallies, when they try to rally. We have the uniformed personnel, trying to stop them, That was really, really strong during the pandemic, and they often experience surveillance by people, by some people, and then it's kind of scary, for this one. But what we do sometimes, we try to do campaigns, try to do things, but aside from being surveilled, being harassed, they also being done with their being, they're being filed with made-up charges, just to keep them on the jail, for example. And really saddens, us.
So, and I think that political cartooning is very effective. Well, so the authorities don't like to look ridicule. Okay, they hate it. They are infuriated by that. So even though you're not an extremist, I would say, but the very far left, they feel ridiculed by the drawings. Okay, so you are taking risks for this. So what can be done to help you in this fight against all these realities that you were talking about, all these. You are here, for example, good. So we can serve as a echo chamber, as you say, for what you do, and what do you expect from us? On the opposite side, in Europe, for example, in France has been I knows a lot about political cartooning. I do not forget that Planty visited the Philippines in okay. So what can we do to help you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like to talk about what we're currently doing in the Philippines right now. First of all, like, thank you for saying that our cartoons is effective. But I do humbly say that you know, while we were able to do it, you know, on the awareness stage, you know, but what we really want to do is to, how do we create and how do we make art aside from awareness, and how do we mobilize them? How do we try to push the people? How do we motivate the people to do more than that?
Switch from merely awareness to act.
To act on it. So what we're currently doing, you know, is like, mostly, if you're a cartoonist, you usually do it alone, you know. It's kind of alone. And when you're being confronted by these attacks, you know, it feels scary. So what we do today is like, we try to group together, you know, we cartoonists, you know, that's why we founded Pitik Bulag, which is like artist collect. It's a collective of political cartoonists, you know, and
heroism.
Yeah, and yes, with Mayoresa and the Rappler, Pitik Bulag became part of the Facts First PH. You know, it's a unique or one of a kind partnership between, aside from cartoonists, it's from civil society organizations, the human rights organizations, law organizations. You know, those lawyers who wants to help us, with think tanks. You know, and the analytics. So we're trying to, you know, like, unite together. You know, we try to do this. You know, so it's so nice that to fight disinformation. By the way, so our role is to draw political cartoons about fact checking. You know, debunking lies. Was being one, especially during the election last year. We did as much as 200 cartoons. You know. So it really addressed the concerns of us cartoonists, you know, because of we kind of fear that we might get sued, we might get harassed. So the role of the lawyers, you know, these volunteers from the law sector, so they try to, you know, assure us that we are doing fine, and they give us, you know, paralegal training. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. It is not the I mean, we anticipate that in the coming years, no, but in the coming years that it may come worse, you know. So as of now, we are still okay. We're still like that, but we're not complacent, you know, that it will stay like that. Because I think that the president today is like more on, you know, it's more like it's on a Zen mode. Like it's not blatantly attacking the press, but still there's the violations of the press freedom is still ongoing, you know. So it's really nice, you know, that Cartooning for Peace is actually actively they sent me here, like, to share what I do, to share all the things that, you know, like the political cartooning to Philippines, you know, to shed the light, you know, why it really matters to the world. And I do think that this foundation, you know, this foundation should, I mean, can help us, you know, because we really need help, you know, aside from the national back in the Philippines. We also need international solidarity,
support,
support, you know. But try to have as much as support as from international organizations, much as possible. But when it comes to, you know, to specific help, but what we need probably in the future is probably in case that someone might get, you know, like a very clear attack or a clear threat, perhaps we can do cooperation about it.
Yeah, ring the bell about the pending danger that's a threat. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. This book is from Maria Ressa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, how to stand up to a dictator, yeah.
And yeah, so I get, Maria Ressa is one of really inspired us, and we're happy for her that she got the credit she deserved. She got it's for now, like, Rappler is the least trusted, but it doesn't mean that they're dishonest, something like that. I think it's because of the propaganda, and how the disinformation really pushed not only Rappler but also ABS-CBN, which is why, by the way, being shut down by the Congress during the pandemic. Is the largest
Who
network.
was shut down?
The ABS-CBN. It's the largest television network in the Philippines, which is from time to time being critical of the government. So it's more like, but Maria Ressa, I was happy for her because she got her 5th tax evasion case dismissed, which was filed by the Duterte administration. So far, she is winning with her cases, which really proves that these cases are just made up. They have no merits, which is fun. And we're just thankful that in us cartoonists, Rappler through Facts First PH is still actively, includes us, cartoonists, in this fight against disinformation, and also doing solidarity for the press freedom, the freedom of expression, and also the protection of the human rights in my country.
There is a very clear need for increasing solidarity and between all inside all the community of people who fight for more democracy. Okay. Okay then. So, what else would you like to say about the future, and is the style of your drawings, of your cartoons, going to change or has been changing? Okay, and what can you foresee in the future for?
That's a very good question, by the way. I think my previous cartoons really focusing on doing satirical, just funny or trying to mock, like the politicians. But actually, we do realize that this sometimes, it can, when they try to, criticize, example, the president, people to try to, they ignore your works, It's really shut down them. And then we are also confronted with the problem of apathy, increasing apathy. I think it's because people, especially the young generations, they tend to be, because of, the negative news comes by every day. They just ignore them and try to be positive, The live life, the live, laugh, love, the mentality, trying to ignore. So there was a shift, on what I try to draw. While at time to time, I still do lampoon of politicians and personalities, and I try to do humanizing in my cartoons. So I think I like to share to you. There was a time I drew a cartoon, like about the drug war in the Philippines.
About the
drug war.
Yeah.
And then there were like 4 minors, I think 5 minors who got killed. Either mistaken identity, they got killed accidentally, or being accused and then killed without the due process. And then there was this NGO in the Philippines who documented them and then asked their parents, their relatives, what was their what was their ambition before they got killed. One was, I tried to create a comics, you know, like 5 kids talking about what they want to grow up when they grow up. So what do you want to grow up? So said the other one, I want to be a seaman or a seafarer. So this was a kid who was killed because recently, just because of a mistaken identity that he was a drug user or drug dealer. And said the other one, yeah, me too. I think you're me too. It's a man, and then a boy, and then the third one is a girl. He was also killed last August or June, probably like that. Just on the lower, I mean, the second half of the year, she was killed, and her ambition was to become a social worker because she wants to help people in need. And the fourth one, he hopes that he gets a chance, you know, to change his life, because he was delinquent, you know, being you know, out of, I mean, not in the best state of his life. And the last one, I was talking, this refers to, you know, the Kian de los Santos. It was a kid who was killed.
Yes, in Negros, if
I think in Manila.
Manila, yeah.
Manila. And you know what he wanted?
Evangelista, yeah. No.
You know what he wanted?
Sorry?
This Kian de los Santos. He wanted to be a police. He wanted to be a police.
The police.
Which is ironic because, you know, he got killed by the police. And then, you know, in the end, you know, these 5 people became a candle. So there are 5 candles in the end. So, you know, instead of, because the problem with human rights messaging is that when you try to, you know, to say buzzwords like press freedom in your cartoon, press freedom like that, or try to, you know, like EJK is a judicial killing, people would tend to like avoid it or try to, because there's still a gap, you know, between awareness on the human rights and what to do in real life, you know. I had like a neighbor, like I asked her, like, you know, we should protect, you know, the freedom of the press, like press freedom, it really matters. Then her reply was, can we eat that human rights, you know? So, you know, being in a country who there's still much poverty, you know, the human rights is like, you know, it doesn't matter to them, but although it really matters, but it doesn't matter to them because they have a food to eat.
Yeah, a daily, yeah.
So the messaging in my cartoons, like more on, I try to make them understand, you know, that's my current pattern, and in the future, I try to make it more like, you know, like more understandable without mentioning the words, like try to humanize,
humanize,
to see their life. And actually, so far, it's actually doing well. And it also makes them realize, you know, without blatantly or directly criticizing those who are authorities, that it makes them realize that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the ruling. And just to end up, I was happy that I almost cried, like when that girl that I drew, like her ambition before she got killed, her brother messaged to me privately, and he said that, yeah, thanks for remembering my sister. I almost cried that time. So it means that, you know, I'm doing right, you know, in my cartoon, you know. And
there seems to be a problem to deal with apathy. Okay, and that reminds me that a clear example of apathy worldwide is about the climate crisis. When you see, for example, that the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, he's saying that we are on a suicidal trajectory. Things are coming to the end. There was no comment made on what he said. That was a few days ago. it's difficult to tell to all the people, well, you know, things will be very much of a problem in the coming years. I mean, you already have all these hurricanes, okay?
Yeah.
In the Philippines.
Yeah.
But it's going, I mean, I'm sorry to have to say, it's here too. I mean, we have had a very hot weather the last few days. Very hot, really. And so, how can you, let's say, tackle this through cartooning?
Yeah, I mean, I experienced it ourselves. Back 2 years ago, in 2021, we were actually hit by one of the strongest typhoons. It really almost ripped apart our roofs, you know, and the many trees around us got destroyed. We had no electricity for almost 1 month. That's really sad that we had to experience that. And still, you know, people, you know, even though our city got raised up, you know, but there's still no urgent need. There's still no urgent call, you know, for a climate emergency. I think what's really happening, you know, is that the current initiatives, you know, that's being done is not by the government. Actually, it's more on, you know, pointing to individual accountability, like do not throw your trashes, use single-use plastics. But we know that these are not enough, you know. It's because I believe that this is the big industries, you know, in the coal. There's still coal plants in my island. There's like fossil fuels, you know, this being done, you know, this being like that. And since they belong to big industries, you know, to big companies, you know, when people would try to protest or try to but most of the time, you know, these people would be red tagged, you know, this being accused of, you know, being part of this group, being a terrorist. Yeah, and then it ends up, you know, they become silenced, or no, and you have that, you know. So, you know, in my cartoons, you know, I try not to. I don't draw about individual accountability. I don't draw about, you know, like ridiculing. I don't ridicule people throwing trash, because from time to time I do draw about example like illegal logging, illegal mining, or like the operations. So I draw about those because I want to send a message that the climate change
is due to that.
Due to them. It's due to these big industries. So it's more on, you know, the awareness, you know. I try time to time, I draw that. And, you know, addressing the apathy, you know, it's not that easy, you know. I do concede
something here.
Yeah. I do concede that cartoons alone are not enough to address this problem. And in order to, you know, to awaken, in order to make the people mobilized, it really needs, you know, a consultation, not only by the cartoonist, but also with the other activists, you know, with other organizations that really care about the environment. We should cartoonists should also be included in the decision, you know, how to make effective campaigns, you know, to make people you know, awaken up. Okay, wake up, you know, we should this is urgent, you know, this is climate emergency.
Very urgent, yeah.
So most of it really requires, you know, a multi-pronged approach, you know, to address
multi-pronged, yeah, okay.
apathy before it's too late, you know.
Yeah. Well, dear Zach, I would like to thank you very much for talking about all what you do, about your country, about your the missions that you're fulfilling in your activity as cartoonist. I mean, okay. So thank you very much to have come here. Okay, and so we stay in touch. Okay, and I wish you all the best for all the other activities that you are going to have in Europe in the coming days. Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.